One, two, test one, two. What up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Jazzy Talk. Tonight, glad to have with us FrankieBFG, aka Feetwork 101, fresh off his win at the Jazzy Season 5 Auto-Qualifier at Brooklyn Games. And so, Frankie, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on here tonight to talk about Jazzy and just talk about Third Strike. I mean, you and I go back a really long time. And so looking forward to this conversation. I want to look back on your career playing this game and just talk to you a little bit about what the game and just the experience of being in this scene for so many years, what that means to you. And so, yeah, looking forward to having you. And yeah, I can't wait to get this started. And so, yeah, man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah,
It's just like old times,
yeah, yeah.
you know. It's like it's good to be doing another podcast with the OG. We remember right before we were talking about House of Strikes
House of
and all
Strikes. The
the
intro went so hard. I forgot how hard the intro went.
telling you we got at some point we gotta play the intro for the people. But nah, man, it's crazy. It's just crazy to think about how long we've been doing this and
Yeah.
how far everything has come. Pretty
Hmm.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Let's talk about something more recent. I want to
Hmm.
talk. Just get the Brooklyn Auto Qualifier out of the way. Talk me up about that event. I mean, obviously we were both there. We were in the middle of that energy, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any adjective that's really worthy enough to describe kind of what was going on, right? Like just the
Mhm.
energy, the electricity, not just in top eight, not just in your set with Nika, but like it seemed like all the pools were so hype. And obviously, shout outs to Beast and Bunch and Poe and Slat Level Up for helping out with the commentary. And yeah, just,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about Brooklyn Games and, just kind of what your mindset was going into that event.
Um, well, the New York scene is like in a weird spot right now where we don't really play that often. So, like, that was the first time that I've seen Daisuke in like maybe a year and a half. Like, and
And it looks like he had just been playing.
yeah, so that's I think the atmosphere was tense. It felt like a major.
Yeah.
It felt like it kind of gave me a feeling of the finale where there was like when you see somebody, when you run into somebody you haven't seen, there's like this excitement, and then that quickly goes away because you have to compete with them. So it was very tense throughout the whole day, and I think us having not ran into each other for such a long time, even for practice, um made that atmosphere, that competitiveness really like palpable. And I think you felt it, from the pools. Like every single pool was super competitive, super hype.
Yeah.
And that top eight, amazing. It was just an amazing top eight, to be a part of all those matches. It was just crazy. It was just a fun event, and just a reminder as to why we do the things that we do for this game.
No, I hear you. Maybe Fight Kid has a lot to do with that. And this is not like shade on Fight Kid. This is
No,
just
no.
what it is. But especially for someone, I don't think I would still ever be comfortable calling myself a New Yorker, even though I've lived here for so long. I still kind of feel in so many ways like an outsider. But, one of the things that I definitely learned from living here so long is that we're about our time. You know what I mean, dog? Like we're about our
Mhm.
business. And like in a weird way, it's like, especially with players that, that get to the level that you do. Um, I was wondering, like, maybe it's like top players, especially like even not even the top players, like just really strong players, even players that have been playing for only a few years. Like, if you live in that New York, New Jersey area, like time is valuable. You know what I mean? Like time is a commodity here. Like not to say
Hmm.
that time isn't a commodity everywhere else, but like, and so like you're kind of weighing the pros and cons. Like okay, like am I going to take a trek out to Brooklyn Games or next level? But I could just sit here on Fightcade,
Yep.
you know, and like I can work on the same shit anyway,
Pretty much.
you know. But I don't
Hmm.
know. What do you think? Do you think that kind of plays a role in it? Like, have there been times where it's like, and like, shout outs to Fightcade, right? It's gotten so good that it's like, you know, it gives us a reason to like use it because you could. I think it's really, you know, a legitimate training tool. You know what I mean? So like, have you ever felt that way where it's like, man, I could go out. I know they're playing, but like, you know,
Every
I can
time.
just chill, you know, I can just put on the Netflix in the background,
Yo,
just
it gets so sick that even that day of the event, I'm like, I could
yeah.
just do last chance
Can we
qualifier.
turn
It's
this into
okay.
an online auto qualifier? Can we just
I'm like, I
can
just fly to
everyone just
Denver.
play me on the PC that they have
Yeah,
at Brooklyn Games?
that's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah,
there's a moment in my head, I was like, just fucking go to Denver a day early and, and just doing the last chance.
yeah,
Nah, of course. I think it's a catch-22 kind of where
yeah.
the because Fightcade's always been there, and that like weighing the options has always been um what you have to do when
Hmm.
you live in New York. It's
Yeah.
just so expensive, and you gotta like work a lot just to make ends meet. So it's like you got to make these decisions, and I think because Fightcade has improved so much, it makes that decision a lot easier in a
Yeah.
sense. That's always been there, like that, a push and pull. But Fightcade has always been, for the most part, it's been not good enough to turn down practicing offline.
Okay.
But something's happened, throughout their updates and all that stuff, where it's good now. Like it's a viable training tool if used the right way, and I know I've been using it pretty much exclusively. Um, as my way to practice this season. Last season I was going out a lot still. I was trying to, get as much offline practice as I could.
Yeah.
But circumstances, it's been a lot of training mode and um polishing on Fightcade, polishing these ideas and concepts, and um asking um asking the relevant people what they see when they play me, and then just trying to turn that into uh just trying to turn my weaknesses into strengths, trying
Hmm.
to fill up any gaps, smooth over any rough patches. Usually, primarily I've been on in training mode, for the most part. That's how I've been practicing this season. And like you said, time is precious. I think that constraint has improved my training too. It's made me much more accurate and efficient with how I train. I don't want to put more than 30 to 45 minutes into this every single day if I can.
Hmm.
And so everything's been extremely regimented, like super. Okay, I'm gonna practice execution for this amount of minutes. I'm gonna go over the hit confirms this amount of minutes. Situations from the last time I played casual, maybe I'll do that, and then I'll hop on and play somebody in like a first to death, and then just try to keep everything polished. And I've just been doing that, and then asking questions obviously after, and then it's just been that. So with that being said, I went into the auto qualifier pretty confident, but scared, but still confident. So
Scared of what? Like, was there any particular thing you were scared of, or
no, I think it's just all
just a
just the pre-war nerves,
yeah.
and then that's kind of another thing too, because we don't travel as much. There, maybe like the monthlies that we go to, I've skipped the last couple of them. Um, you got to get good at playing in tournaments too. That's different than just playing in casuals. So I was worried about that. I was worried about how I was gonna perform in that way. Um, but the nerves are usually a sign of good things. I've never gone into a tournament nervous and, you know, completely shit the bed. It's always the opposite. You know, when I go into a tournament too calm is when things kind of go badly. So,
Yeah. Um, I want to talk about your grand finals with Nika. Uh,
mhm.
I think Nika's had the upper hand the last few sets. So, what do you think was the difference the last time around?
um, uh, I think, you know, him and we've been practicing quite a bit this season, and you know, we've just been very vocal about, you know, what we see in each other's game, and I think I've been really focused on just listening to the things that people tell me. Um, and not that I wasn't before, but like I said, you know, when you're playing so much, sometimes, you know, lines get muddy and you know, you're focusing on way too many things at once. And I think this time I just took a very simplistic approach, and I tried to, you know, stop specific things that, you know, me and him spoke about or have been speaking about in our training, and I've been just avoiding situations altogether where in the past I've been trying to like play perfectly throughout the whole way. You know, I'm trying to stop every single thing that he's trying to do. And I think this time I just kept it a little simpler, and that kind of helped me execute the game plan. So I think that's been the difference, or that was the difference rather.
I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think that, one of the things that I think you have to be a really good player is an attention to detail.
Oh yeah.
Uh, just the ability to recognize things. Uh, and so, were there certain moments during your set? Uh, because I don't know, like when I used to compete, uh, I would always watch my matches over multiple times,
Hmm.
like almost too many times.
Yeah.
um, but like, I don't know if that's something that you do, but like, were there certain moments in the set that you remember, that stood out to you for whatever reason?
Yeah, I think first firstly, like that was that's the whole basis of, you know, starting the YouTube channel, was that, you know,
Hmm.
was that importance to paying attention to the details, and the importance of watching tape, you know, to get better. And that's kind of where the whole film room thing came from, just like trying to teach people how to watch the game. And yeah, I think in grand finals it was a lot of like a lot of like little situations that made the difference. um and but the reason that I was able to get it to that point where I slowed the game down was because I watched winners finals, and um you know, in watching, you know, well, obviously in playing winners finals, the thing that kind of kept creeping back to me was that it was just way too easy for him to dive kick,
Mm.
because I was too focused on, you know, you get hung up on the type of solution that you want to do every time and not just, you know, solving it. So in my head, I was too focused on parrying the dive kicks, where I should have just been focused on stopping them however I can. And so, you know, when all you're trying to do is parry a dive kick, you're in range to parry the dive kick. That means you're also in range to block the dive kick if you miss the parry or get hit. So there was a lot of times where um I should have, you know, jump back, attack, or try to anti-air the dive kick. And I realized that I kept getting hit with them because I'm trying to parry them the whole time. So I think that one little adjustment made it possible for me to run it back in grand finals.
Yeah.
Because then the game slows down, and I like it when the game is slow. That's my shit. I fucking love when the game is slow. So, yeah, that's always the challenge, right? And fighting Lloyd is slowing the game down. He's so good at keeping it like fast and violent, you know. And but just on that particular day, I was able to slow him down just enough to, you know, make use of Ken's advantages in that matchup. You know, I don't have to land that many hits to kill him. So
And to Lloyd's credit, I mean, maybe the reason why you were just trying to parry the dive kicks is because his dive kick game is so good, right?
yeah,
Like
right.
you don't expect Lloyd to be in those positions, but
Mhm.
and so sometimes you forget, oh wait, I'm in control of my character.
Yeah, exactly.
And so yeah, and so
And
sometimes you lose sight, especially against a Yang player that has such a
yeah,
just a impeccable dive kick game
yeah,
where every dive kick they do is with purpose. Like
yeah. And then it's also it's not only that, but it's also like having many different solutions to the
mhm,
same problem. Because if all I'm doing, let's say if I went the other way with it and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna avoid dive kick altogether. In
yeah.
doing that, you're giving up ground,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
gonna find
and
yourself in the
you'll
corner.
find yourself in the corner really
Mhm.
quick. And so it's like a you know, the game within the game is I know he has a dive kick. He knows I have 2 or 3 different solutions to dive kick. And, you know, he's gonna whiff dive kick sometimes. And so how do I mix up my solutions so that I don't end up in the corner and I don't become predictable.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, in the winners final set, like each game looked similar, and you know, it was just a matter of who got the better out of each interaction. But the interactions were the same every single game. I think in grand finals it looked a lot different. You know, like where I was on the map, like it looked different. Um, and just slowing it down, like I said. But again, that's really hard. You
Mhm.
know, I'm trying to avoid. It's like trying to avoid like the far dive kicks, you know, whiffing. Or another thing that I was thinking about too was like the speed that I was pressing the buttons. I was trying to like push myself to press them like the buttons fast because I noticed that I was getting thrown a lot. And when people say they tech the throw, they didn't really tech the throw, like they pressed some other shit. Um, so I didn't want to be in that situation where I was like, no, I take that throw, I fucking know it. So I was trying my best to like press the buttons really like fast, you know, like trying to like throw tech really really quick. And that's something that I hadn't really considered. But Lloyd and I were talking about watching KO play recently. Um, that's probably gonna be a video on my channel pretty soon. But we were talking about when we were watching KO play in Japan and like how fast he pressed the buttons, like when he was trying to tech. Like he was just super fast when he played. Even though he plays at like a slower pace than Lloyd does, just when he decides to do something, he has like real velocity behind his button presses. So that was something else that I was like focusing on too during that set, was to be deliberate with my buttons and fast, like not hesitate. You know, I'm ready in there. You know, just got to press the button fast. Just got to commit. So I think that helped a lot too.
Uh, I wanted to ask you about like a specific exchange that I saw. I think I saw it 3 times, maybe twice. Uh, once in the first set, and then the second time I think in game 4, where you pushed it into a fifth and deciding game. So like you did this thing where like Nico would jump, and I think the
Hmm.
first time you walked under, and then you hit him with jab jab short super,
Hmm.
and then in the second set, Nika jumped at you, and when he landed, you did the same thing, jab jab short super.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about kind of like why that was working, why that works in that situation, and because it's ultimately the thing that kind of helped you push that to the last game.
Hmm.
When like Lloyd, I think it might have been an empty jump or something.
Yeah, I think the first
Yeah,
time it wasn't empty. It was a like a neutral jump, and
yeah,
I walked under,
yeah.
and I did it. Um, th- it I've been working on that, on like installing kind of the jab short into my hands, because like I think the reason why that worked in that situation is because um jab short is a way to option select getting thrown and applying hit confirmable pressure on him. I think when he landed, he's trying to jump up again to pressure with dive kicks, because
Mm.
when the twins, neutral jump or the empty jump, if they hold up and dive kick, then that's gonna, they're gonna put you in the blender. Um, so I decided that if I wasn't gonna try to stand tech any neutral any neutral uh neutral jumps. Sorry. Like I wasn't trying to like stand tech anything. If he got close without pressing a button, I was gonna try to crouch tech in those situations. Or like throw an attack. So I think that's why it worked the first time. The second time, I think that was actually a trip guard where he pressed a button and I was able to like punish the recovery of it
Because he got
with
hit crouching the
yeah
second time.
yeah, because crouch jab is Ken's best light move in terms of frame advantage. So it's nice to land that. It's really hard to land it without it getting parried, but when you do land it, even if they block it, you're in a great situation because you can like frame trap them with crouching medium punch after that,
Mm-hmm.
or pressure with throw. Um, so I've been looking for situations where I can pressure with that instead of the typical, Yang's right in front of you or Yun's right in front of you. Let me just try to mash throw because that's the fastest thing I can do. I'm trying to get as much mileage out of my button presses. You know, stand teching in that situation, that doesn't really help me out. You know, it's almost as it's not almost as bad. It's just it's putting me, if I try to stand tech in those situations where I think he could jump up again, I'm not really gaining anything if the stand tech goes through. Now we're just back in neutral. I was just trying to make all my decisions be net positive. Like if I was correct here, then I get something good out of it, which is a super, instead of just like a throw tech.
Yeah. Thanks for clearing that up. Just wanted to, because I noticed that, that worked on more than one occasion. And yeah, I have to double check to see if that was trip card. That's interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought the Brooklyn Games event was really cool. There was, like you said, there were a lot of high level play. Like, were there any other, like, enough about you? uh, what about some of the other players? I mean, obviously you were going up against Lloyd in grand finals, but tell me about some of the players that kind of impressed you. Especially some of the newcomers. Like, who are some of the players that were
who
like,
got
oh,
who got top 8 in that?
okay,
It was
so I know you, Lloyd, Daisuke, excuse me, Kang, Hammy, Gavin, and Envy. I think,
an
is that
envy.
8? Am I missing? I think that's it.
Daisuke?
I said Daisuke, yeah,
Yeah,
and Kodama,
Kodama. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't get a chance to play him. I think obviously Hammy was
yeah.
the kind of standout performance of the night. It wasn't a shock to me. Every time, the last time I played him before this was maybe like 6 months ago, and he's always solid. He's always, a tough out, even in casuals. But to put it together like that in an event like that, he beat, Dan, who's always, a strong competitor. He almost beat EXO. Um,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
he beat, who else did he beat? He beat Daisuke, no? Or who beat Daisuke?
yeah, yeah. Hammy beat Daisuke.
Yeah. So I mean, that's in most other tournaments, that's winning the tournament, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
beat Daisuke, you beat a guy like that. And I think this might be, his breakout performance, I guess, in terms of playing in a tournament, but it's just a testament to the circuit and to the community that we can keep bringing players like him up, and for I don't know how. I don't think he started playing this game like a long time ago, but just the fact that somebody can come out like that and have that kind of a performance should be inspirational for anybody else who's attempting to get into this game now, or maybe they're in the thick of it and they're finding it difficult to improve. It can happen. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
So it's just that's low key inspiring. Having somebody like that just show up and play so well, like the whole time. Like every single one of his matches were fucking sick and were like must watch TV.
Yeah.
So it's good that he came out. I mean, EXO coming in, trying to do us dirty and take our spot with Chun-Li. Admirable effort.
That first set was pretty close.
Admirable effort. Listen,
there were so many great moments in that tournament.
You need a little bit of luck to win.
Yeah.
Right? Happens to everyone.
Every champion needs a little luck.
A little bit of luck. And he played really well. It was fun watching him play again. Envy, he's becoming like this fixture in every single top 8, and that's what you want. Like that's such a good place to be in, on his behalf. I know he probably is disappointed by his performance, but dude, as long as you're in the hunt every single time, like that's really what this is about. So good shit to him. Daisuke looking like a fucking samurai. Last time I saw him,
looking like Goki. He rolled in there looking like Goki.
Yo, last time he looked like a salaryman. The last time I saw him,
now he looks like Goki. He even had the Goki hair.
Yep. So it's always fun watching him play. It's just awesome, man. It was a fucking awesome event, and it's a reminder to me, particularly, why we play this game. Right? We play it to go compete, to see each other, to be part of the community. And there's nothing quite like, an offline Third Strike event. So,
yeah,
I'm glad I got to say I won the event, but, truth be told, it could have been anybody's that day.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, let's spend a little bit more time on that word, community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is the 25th anniversary of the game. I mean, you've been playing the game for a while. Like when you look back on, kind of your time, like just speak to me, like what are some of the things that come to mind, as you've been like, competing for, I don't know, how long have you been competing? Maybe 15 years now?
16?
16, yeah.
Maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
17?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. 17. It's a lot.
I mean, not just Third Strike in general. I mean, I don't know if I don't know how many people are unfamiliar with you, but you've played other games too, and you're pretty widely regarded, and so you definitely have some presence outside of Third Strike. So yeah, just like in general, like this being part of the FGC, being part of Third Strike, and like what does all that mean to you looking back on it?
It's crazy because I think, I think a big part of the scene is other people. I think it seems pretty obvious, but when you see everybody pivot to, online, through the convenience of it, like, I mean, I found Third Strike by chance. I was fucking walking past Chinatown Fair, and it was 30 of you guys huddled around that one little machine. Like that was before they gave us like the showcase cabinet, so we were just like in the corner. There was 30. I think it might have been. You remember Henry, the Chun-Li? There's this dude named Henry. He's like this tall guy, this tall Asian dude.
Yeah, he's from Cali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was.
I took a while. I'm getting
Yeah, no,
old,
it's
dog.
fine. No, because
There's a
that's a
lot of
deep cut.
names. Yeah,
That's a deep
you
cut
have to
right
go. You
there.
have to go deep in the. Have you ever seen
Yeah,
the movie Dreamcatcher? The Stephen King
yeah,
movie
yeah.
Dreamcatcher, where they have the library in the brain. I had to go with special collections to remember that name. Oh yeah, shout out to
Bro.
Henry, the DJ. He's a DJ. He's
Oh,
really
for
into
real?
EDM and
Oh
stuff. Yeah,
shit. Yeah,
yeah.
we should gotta go support. Nah, so it was him and Tony, and they were playing. Dude, they were playing a casual
Who
game.
who?
It was a fucking casual game
What you mean
on a.
CF Tony?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And they were playing a casual game, and there was like 30 people just huddled around watching, bro. And
hmm
you know how loud Chinatown Fair is.
Yo, let's talk about some CF Third Strike Legends. Like
Oh, we
the
will,
one
we
thing
will.
I always wanted to do is I always wanted to host a CF Third Strike Legends tournament. Like
Two of them came out.
I know. Oh, speaking of
That's
which,
what I'm talking about.
so I don't want to steal your thunder, but I gotta share this story with you because I don't know
No,
if
go
I
ahead.
told this story. So I don't know. Did you leave already? I think you may have left already. Yeah, you may have left already. I think. But guess who showed up?
You're gonna get me
Like
mad.
super late at the event.
You're gonna get me mad. I don't know who showed up.
Gamester.
No way, dude.
Old
Shut
Bad
the
Ryu.
fuck
Yes, he showed up at the event. Yeah.
You know what's
I
funny
was
about
just
that?
watching. I was just watching casuals, right? And then all of a sudden, this dude just stands right next to me.
Bro.
Because I thought after we saw Albert roll through, after we
Yeah,
saw
little
little Kevin roll through, I was like, all right, that's cool. And then for Gamester
Nah.
to roll up,
See, now I feel like a piece of shit because I was reading the PSN chat that I have muted,
yeah,
and Gamester was in there talking shit like, "Oh, it was nice seeing everybody." And I'm thinking to myself, "Yo, why, motherfucker, why you lying, bro? I was there. Why are you lying? Now you getting me mad. I'm in the shower. I shouldn't be mad right now, and now I'm mad." And so I feel like a piece of shit because now you're telling me he actually showed
he
up.
actually was there. He was there. And so, much love to Gamester. He sits down. He sits down and plays, right? And he plays Kodama. Then, I kind of, forget about it and walk around some more. And I come back and, Gamester, you're my guy. But KDM, like, I think he was on like 27 wins. Old Bad Ryu.
Oh,
And so we go outside in the front. I go outside in the front to hang out with Envy. And we see Kodama walk out to smoke a cigarette.
Oh,
And then I turned
that's
to
how
Envy
bad
and I
he
was like,
fucked him.
I think the streak's over, but shout outs to Gamester for showing up. Surprisingly, I didn't see the Hugo, but
Damn, of course.
but
Of course.
see, Gamester showed up. That's nuts, right? Old Man Ryu.
Yeah, man. And
the rage was there. The rage was
the
there.
rage. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It felt
yeah.
like that. It felt like a major event because we're, like I said, we're in
Yeah.
this weird spot where we just don't see each other as much as you would think,
Yeah.
our community sees each other. So when these events happen and everybody pops out, it's crazy. And just going back to the Chinatown Fair story, like, dude, 30 people around one little American cab. And I looked, and you know how loud an arcade gets.
Yeah.
When you have that many people watching one game, like, it creates a bubble, and like you could hear a pin drop. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
weird, like a weird thing that happens. And I saw that tension,
Mm-hmm.
that competitive tension, and I didn't know shit about anything. Like, I played Marvel 2 at home, for fun. I was in Chinatown because, we played Yu-Gi-Oh! And shit, so we were just chilling and, walk past the thing and, that moment where nothing's happening. That's probably the most unique thing about Third Strike is that when nothing is happening in that game is like, something important is happening.
Yeah.
And, the thing happened where Tony probably landed a low forward super or some shit. And, everybody is like, oh, the collective, oof, ooh, that was dirty. That collective sigh of like, holy shit, that was sick.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I have that game at home. Let me go see if I can
On
play it.
Dreamcast.
On Dream, no, dude, I think it. Yeah,
It was on
actually, it was on Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
And yeah, that was it, man. I fucking picked up the controller. I picked up Makoto because I don't know why I did, and
Yeah.
it was the first character I tried playing, and I'm like, why is this bitch walking so slow? She's ass. And then
Yeah.
picked up Ken, and
Think
then that
about
was
that
it.
timeline, right? If you had just stuck with Makoto. I know you main Remy for a little bit. A little bit.
Oh yeah, I played Remney. I
A
thought
little
he was
bit.
cool.
Yeah.
I thought he was a cool character, but
So who are some other
uh,
CF legends that should be in this like tournament?
oh
Like
my god.
I think
All right,
first entrant is Hellgen, right? Hellgen's got to
yeah,
be like the
Helgen,
first invite, the first person you invite. Who else?
Helgen,
We got Old Man Ryu,
Old
definitely Old
Man
Man
Ryu.
Ryu.
You got
Remember
Tony,
Tony? We got Albert,
Albert, Lil Kevin.
Little Kevin. We got that one Dudley player, the balding one, the bald Dudley player,
Oh my
the
god,
Chinese
that
bald
motherfucker.
Dudley player. That dude was nice.
That mother, you could not jump at him. He was
Yeah,
super every time, bro. You would
yeah,
never miss that shit.
yeah, yeah.
So that guy, I wish I knew his name. Eric's,
Oh
come on,
my God,
come
Eric's.
on.
I thought he
Woo!
was probably one of the like top three nicest third strike players at
No, he
CF.
was. You know how good he was. That
Like he was really good.
like back then, that was what 07.
Yeah,
Back then, nobody could see Justin. Like
yeah,
nobody.
yeah,
Justin was still winning everything all the time.
yeah.
And the two people that came closest to beating Justin were KO Fiend and Justin's alarm. If it didn't go off that day, that was it. And Eric's was the only one who could beat, Li Joe back then. Back then, obviously, Li Joe was a top player. Um, KO Fiend, Justin, like Eric's beat everyone except for Justin, but he was the closest one. He was the one who can
Yeah.
actually get close to beating him.
Yeah.
And with a character like Urian back then, dude, it was fucking insane. That guy was just out of his mind.
He used Goki too, remember?
Yeah, I remember that. And the way he
Yeah.
played was weird. Like he fuck, I wish I could like explain it, but he would have like this part of his hand on the kicks.
Wow.
And he would press the kicks with that part of his with like the palm of his hand. When he did tackles, he was doing tackles with his palm.
Yikes.
It was weird. He played like fucking weird.
Street Fighter 1.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
no, he was different, that guy. And he didn't have any resources. He was just learning this shit just 1/4 at a time.
Remember that nice Ibuki player, Kelvin?
Oh my god, yeah, Kelvin?
Kelvin? Is that his name? Kelvin?
That
Yeah.
motherfucker was cold.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
So many good players that were just in the cut.
Chino? Oro Chino?
Chino Oro, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Shout out to Chino.
What's
Love
some
that
other
guy.
Oro players? What was the other one besides Tinchi? Well, Tinchi, Tinshi's
Tinchy.
more of a tournament player already.
Tinchy.
I don't know
Tinchy
if he
goes.
should enter. I mean, he's kind of a tournament player already.
Yeah,
You know?
he's Japanese now.
No, there was this one other Oro player at CF. Sergio, that's right. Sergio, Johnny Paluzzi. Oh, what was his name?
John Paluzzi.
John Paluzzi.
Yo.
I mean, this tournament would be OD.
Yo.
It would be really sick.
Literally.
Yeah.
Quasi.
Quasi.
Ugh.
Oh man.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, man.
Yeah.
There was that one Necro player that always had the plastic bag around his wrist.
Yeah. He used
That
SA1.
That
Yeah.
motherfucker was cold too.
Yeah.
He was cold. Another thing you couldn't jump at, bro. He was crazy with it. He was woof.
That's why I miss CF. That's the thing I miss the most about CF. Those like random CF legends, those players, right? They would never enter tournaments, but they were just really nice. They were really
Just
good.
nice with it, man.
Yeah.
He was just good with it. And they couldn't talk English.
Some of them.
But they spoke third strike.
They spoke third strike. And that's the only language that matters.
That's the only one that matters, bro.
Yeah.
You know what it is having dinner with somebody who don't speak English and you're just there enjoying each other. It's crazy. It's just like that's just what happens.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. That's the beauty of community, right? Just being able to say that.
So speaking of not being able to speak English, I wanted to talk a little bit about your time in Japan.
Yeah.
Because you've been to Japan twice, right?
Twice. Yep.
And I mean, you were already nice before you went to Japan, but just tell me a little bit about just kind of how that experience has helped you kind of develop as a third strike player. Again, you went, first in 2017, then in 2018, but just like tell me about, maybe some of the lessons you learned playing over there in Japan, or some of the things that, stuck with you, Because when you came back, I could definitely notice there was a boost in confidence, you know.
Yeah, I think
But yeah, tell me a little bit about how you think your trips to Japan, kind of help your game.
I think um I, it's weird because you go over there and you realize how little of the game you've actually seen. Because back then, the recording wasn't robust. It's like the Shen would post, one of the, you know, one match out of the thousands that have happened that day. And that was one of the shocking things with going over there, right? The way we planned it out was we went, it was, me, Gavin, hold that you the first time, and we knew which arcades were having the free plays at the day, so we went, and just the sheer volume of games that these guys played, it was like, oh, you almost don't need to share information because you're gonna go through every situation like in one day, and I think what going over there developed was endurance because we couldn't fucking hang that first week that we were there. Thank God we were there for like 2.5 weeks that first time. Because that first week we were all getting tired. Me and Lloyd were leaving these arcades with migraines, bro. Like we'd have to take breaks just to like get out and get some air. And leaving with migraines, everybody back then you could still smoke in the arcade, so that was a factor too. Um, but just the sheer amount of games that they played, it 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 made it clear as to like why they were so good, and why they can play so free and slow and fast at the same time. It was very weird. It was very bizarre, and that was the biggest shock the first time. The first time it was like, okay, I have no endurance for high level play. You're not used to being pushed to the brink every single game. You're not used to that. And so that was another, factor. But it was that we came back from it, I think, questioning our endurance for high level play. And so, we pushed that and we pushed that. And then the next year in 2018, I think that was when we started thinking about the details now, because now we can hang. Now, we can go and play a first to whatever with boss and not feel like our physical, condition is affecting the game in any way. Now this is all pure strategy, right? Like we're going. I feel just as good as in the last game as I did in the first game, and now it's about making the right choices and making the right adjustments. And I think the second time we really went with like the cameras and we were really watching the tape. As soon as we were done playing, we were like sitting, going to dinner and watching the tape and trying to, you know, um, pick out all these things that we can scrub and or polish or remove completely or add. Um, so I think if I can distill it down to two things, it's endurance for high level play, and then it's taking film and using it immediately. It was such a big advantage coming back from that environment and then continuing that. We felt like we were a bit ahead of the curve, like, versus a lot of other scenes because back then we were consistently doing that, and you would know more than anybody, right? You playing, Lloyd in those first to deaths. I mean, I feel like you two had the most endurance when we went over there, and I think a large part of it had to do with how you guys practiced before.
Do you think you could replicate that kind of thing online? Like, because when you're talking about it, just like you were talking about, just like the basic idea of it was, you get a lot of really good fucking Third Strike players in one place,
Hmm.
and you all just play forever. Like,
Yeah.
and you would think just on a theoretical level, hey, you could do that online, but can you? Like, do you think that's even possible to get that? Like, because like you were talking about those times when you guys were at the arcade, all those hours you couldn't hang. Like, you do you think you could ever replicate that experience online?
Hmm. A part of me a part of me wants to say no.
Uh-huh.
Because of, there are a lot of, physical components to being, uncomfortable,
Mm.
you know, outside of, your home, where you have to look for you have to actively look for breaks. You can't just roll over and crawl into bed or whatever. And, I think that there is something about playing offline against a ton of different people and interacting with those people too. I think that, to me, that's the biggest hurdle between, being able to replicate that online, is having access to people immediately. We were lucky where, we had just enough people players who spoke English, that helped us um get information rather quickly. When we had a question, we would kind of just ask them, and we were able to get feedback immediately. It makes losing a lot easier, when you're offline, because you get to see the person. And um things, I don't know, I feel like when I actually, at least me, I'm very human when I play online, in the sense that I
What does that
I get
mean?
mad. I get real pissed, because you don't know where the other person's coming from. So when they're doing something, right? It could be something as simple as, I don't know. I feel like a wake up EXDP could be disrespectful. Like, you could be that could be your version of spitting on me online, and I wouldn't know it. I'm just perceiving it how I'm perceiving it, because I didn't want to get hit with that shit, and you fucking did it 3 times, But it could be something as simple as that, where, and if you're offline, like, just hearing them laugh on the other side, or like
Yeah.
hearing them just say, "Yo, I was scared, that's why I did it."
Uh-huh.
Just something like that. It breaks the tension. You get another source of input. Um, that's not just your brain and the game in front of you, and I think that it helps foster a more healthy learning experience, or just playing experience, just in
Yeah.
general. So I think that's why it's hard to replicate that, because when you're grinding for that long, you need, like, other input. Like,
Yeah.
you need the input from the players around you. You need to be able to just get up and fucking go to another machine, and I don't know, play Galaga or whatever the fuck, just to get your mind straight again, or step outside and talk about the game. There's just different. um I I said I wanted to say no, and now I'm thinking, after thinking about it, I'm saying no. No, you can't. Not to that great effect. I feel like you would burn out online. It's just so easy to just click X on the Fightcade and the Discord, and just fucking taking your ball home, and
Yeah.
just quitting for the night. Especially when things don't go right.
Mhm.
No, I think you need each other. You know, physically, you need to, like, be in front of other people to do that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up, your experience playing, I always like to put them in air quotes because kind of like what you were describing. Yes, they are casuals, but casuals at Game Newton are not really, you know what I mean? Like it would almost sound wrong to call them casuals, you know?
Yeah. And
But
listen, nobody wants to lose to the foreign player,
no, no,
So
no, no.
it's a different monkey on your back when you're
Yeah,
a foreigner walking in there. It's
yeah,
tough.
yeah. Rue looked like he was playing an SBO the night I
Yo,
went there.
I saw him
Rue was on
smile
some
more.
shit, right?
Oh my god, yo, those guys could talk, man.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah. But
Don't
yeah.
don't fuck up. All you hear is "arigato" on the other side of the fucking cab.
I
Don't
mean, that's
fuck up.
another misconception, right? That Japanese players don't talk shit.
Oh my god, they are fucking shit talkers like anyone else, bro. Just because they yell Tatsumaki and
It's just
shit, don't
every
mean they're
culture
not
has a
talking shit.
different way to talk shit. That's all.
Yeah, they yell the fucking move you just whiffed, idiot. Like, like, oh, you throw EX Hadouken and they jumped over it. All you hear from the other side is 7 of the motherfuckers. EX Hadouken, EX Hadouken. Yeah, tell me they're not talking shit. Okay, fuck out of here, bro.
But look, in all seriousness though, like I'm glad you described your experience playing quote unquote casual in Japan, because the people that I've talked to that went to last year's finale, and by the way, shout outs to Brandon and Aki, uh, heaven on earth. for an arcade enthusiast, especially a Third Strike enthusiast. Number one, Brandon is really about Third Strike. Like he's an actual Third Strike head. He loves the game. And you'll tell, and you could tell that right away once you step into that venue, and once you, and you know, if you attend the finale this year. But you know, the one thing that I kept hearing as far as feedback goes from last year's finale is, you know, the one thing that I would always hear from players is that they really liked the casuals.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
you know, and so like obviously what you're talking about is on a different level, but just the ability to, again, for a sustained period of time, because there ain't nothing but Third Strike going on in that room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And like consistently, people who went to the finale last year, one of the things that they were always, you know, raving about was the casuals. And that's why, you know, the Jazzy board, we're trying to get like the tournament stuff done as, you know, as early as possible. That's why we're pushing for more cabs. Like we got 9 head-to-head setups this year, you know. And so like that's an experience you really can't get in an American FGC anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even if you go to a major, they have an arcade room, but then, you know, you can't put everything to the same game. Like I understand, you know, that majors have a time and place and a role, and they're great for introducing players to all different sorts of games and themes. But, you know, part of, you know, why, you know, we like doing the finale is, like you were saying, giving players that experience of just grinding in real time, IRL, you know, one game. And all of those people there, right? They're all there for the same purpose at the finale, to get better.
Yep.
You know? And so it's almost like the closest thing that you could experience to kind of like what you were describing, right? You know, in a Japanese game center, nothing but Third Strike heads over there in there,
Bro,
right? Especially on Third Strike night.
That's right, and especially on those free play nights. Oh, it's this game.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? They do that for every game, you know,
Right, yeah.
just on a different scale.
Right,
Yeah.
they do it for, you know, obviously the Street Fighter, whatever the newest Street Fighter is, KOF, all that shit.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I sound like a broken record, but I'm just gonna kind of say this again. I think it's really important, you know, whoever it is, you know, if you really are about a certain game, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with trying to create your own thing for it, because that's what makes it special, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, shout outs to all of the TOs that are, especially the retro TOs that are helping to keep the, you know, the game alive. You know, John Q was in the chat talking about your Marvel 2.
Yeah.
Your Marvel 2 game. Are you gonna enter Marvel 2?
Yeah,
at
man.
the finale.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Going straight from the plane, straight to Marvel 2.
How about ST?
Booking. I'll play ST.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll enter it all.
Yeah. Shout outs to Riz1, by the way. You know, drinking a little Diet Dr. Pepper here.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Super Lord Boys.
It's funny that you brought that up, because that was one of the main things that I enjoyed from the first. Was it the first or the second? But it's every Jazzy. It's being able to play people that you don't play normally.
Yeah.
And you know, it was funny because I don't think people in New York like playing my Ken. Like,
I love playing your Ken. I would play your Ken
I know.
for hours.
No, I know, but I think just other people, they find it kind of boring. And dude, like, I'm playing people from other scenes, and they're like, "Oh my god, I had a lot of fun playing your Ken," and I'm not used to hearing that shit. I'm like,
who thinks playing your Ken is boring? We need to hear names. We can. I'm just kidding. No, because you say there are New York players that don't like playing your Ken.
Yeah, like Shinebox. He don't like playing my Ken. I know that.
How did I know you were gonna mention Shinebox in the first place?
That's what I hear from. I don't know. I just hear it. I feel it. There's like a thing to it, which is why I like to play different characters.
Yeah.
But it was just refreshing to hear. The first person who told me that was Rennick when I played him, which I was shocked. I just wasn't.
Because he's been playing EE all his life.
Yeah. So whatever. But that's just the point of it. It's just like, oh, it's really cool to play.
Yeah.
Different play styles, you know, a different scene, they have a different take on that character. They have a different relationship with every like main that's picked up that character, and their growth is different than the way that your scene does it. So there's just these little nuances that you pick up on different scenes, and you know, the way that people play Alex, obviously everywhere is going to change. When people play Chun, it's a little different depending on where they're from. It's like really unique, and that was one of the fun parts of just being able to. I want to go play Dallas right now, so let me just fucking go, or whatever. It was just, it's a complete experience. If you're playing Third Strike, it reminded me a lot of those casuals from Co-op Cup, right? Because those Tokyo guys and the, oh look, they're playing the Kyoto guys right now. They don't really get to play them that much, and they're here, so those casuals mean a lot. Like that's how it felt, when you're in the finale. I think the most fun casuals were the ones obviously after the tournament's done.
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
Loose.
the nerves are gone. Everybody's drunk already, and you just get to just vibe, man, with people that you just don't get to talk to, obviously at all, So that to me, that's probably one of the most enriching parts of going to the finale is just kind of reuniting with the rest of the country,
Yeah. And don't sleep on casuals.
Never.
Yeah, so come to Jazzy finale weekend. Start.gg/Jazzy3S.
Hell yeah.
Will you play casuals with players, Frankie? Will you play casuals?
With everyone.
All right.
I'm down.
Sounds good.
I'm down. Use me. Demean me.
So, yeah, well, I mean, the finale's great and all. But, there is Evo 2 on the horizon.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what your thoughts are on Third Strike at Evo. Seeing as you are one of the pillars of the community, I would definitely like to hear your thoughts on the return of Third Strike as a main game at Evolution.
Yeah.
Well, before we do that, right? What were your thoughts on Evo Japan?
It was fine. It was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It's okay.
It was cute.
It was okay. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not like, what's so funny about your reaction? And, obviously, 25th anniversary of Third Strike. But it's also, the 20th anniversary of the Daigo moment, right?
Yeah.
And your reaction to Evo Japan, for some reason, I immediately thought of my reaction to Evo moment, 37, because I was there live with other Third Strike players, other family players. And, what did we do after that event? We were just like, oh, what could Justin have done? What could Daigo have done instead? What could, you know what I mean? We're always about those alternate timelines, dog, right? We're always thinking about, different outcomes and stuff. But yeah, and then, again, if this makes me a hater, okay, whatever. I'm a hater. But, as someone who, was, really down with Third Strike, even before, Evo 2004, it's yes, it's a significant event. Yes, it's a really big moment. It's a moment that got a lot of players, a lot of the top Third Strike players into the game. But it's I think the funniest thing is, you remember Emphy?
Yeah, for sure.
Remember that he and Rom, I think they were part of this group called Team Wales. And I remember they released a video. What else could Daigo have done? But do you remember that video where they basically labbed everything else that Daigo could have done after parrying the Chun-Li full super? But yeah, what's up, Third Strike in Japan at Evo? How were the matches? Honest opinion.
I don't know. Dude, I don't know. My idea was to, take whoever won Evo Japan and do a film room on them.
Show.
Yeah, and I don't have it in me. I'm gonna do it. But
is it because Show won? Is that why you're kind of?
No. I love Show. I love Show. I hate Show. I played him 50 games and I wanted to kill myself after. No, listen. I just think that it wasn't an event. It was. I don't know, man. There's just a magic about Japanese Third Strike Co-op Cup. There's a magic there. I can't explain it. But Evo just didn't capture that thing that we like about Japanese Third Strike.
Was it the team aspect?
Yeah, I think so. It's that. It's the
Mm,
every team is different. It's funky. They gotta you get to see weird shit. Um, the of course the team aspect of it makes it exciting.
mm-hmm,
Just the sheer volume of people that you get to see throughout the weekend makes it interesting. And the pools that are going on, and they have the four different camera setups just to catch a little bit of each match that's going on. There's just something momentous about it that just Evo Japan, it's supposed to run smooth, so it just didn't feel like that thing, that we wait, that most people, even if you watch fighting games, you waited for Co-op Cup at the end of the year, or the beginning, whatever. Just didn't have that. It didn't have it. And I feel the same way about. I feel like a burden actually about Evo, about like Evo in July. I mean, it feels like a burden almost, where Third Strike has this terrible reputation at Evo. And like, who, if we don't go, right, if the people who play the game right now, the American players who don't play the game right now, if they don't go and they don't um almost defend the game in a weird way, if that doesn't happen, then we would have failed as like a Third Strike community. It's like a really rotten thing to like think, but that's just how I feel about it. I feel
okay.
like all
So
of us have a responsibility to like go and make sure that Third Strike is represented properly, because whatever, it's fucking
yeah,
Evo in Japan, and what we know about Evo in Japan is it's Justin versus Nuki grand finals, or I don't know. It's just it always falls flat. So
yeah, yeah. So
you know,
I wanted to respond to that with a quick story, and just kind of peeling back the curtain a little bit. Um, I mean, everyone knows when the finale is.
hmm
But there was a time when the board was still trying to figure out when it should be. And I
hmm
had this crazy idea. And I took it from pro wrestling. You know how like whenever there's like a big event that a mainstream company, whether it's the WWE or AEW, like for example, WrestleMania.
hmm
WrestleMania happened last month. And so anytime WWE comes into town with WrestleMania, and WrestleMania is like a week long thing,
hmm
guess who follows? All these independent wrestling promotions that
hmm
also hold their events on the same weekend, right? Why? Because all the wrestling fans go there, right?
yeah, they're already there.
And so I had this crazy idea, like, dog, let's do the finale. Let's figure out a way to go to Vegas and just do it there the same weekend as Evo. I mean,
Oh shit.
what's another people are already spending $300 on Evo? What's another 50 or 60 that you give to Jazzy?
Yeah,
But
right.
I was thinking like just we're just the board likes to throw around ideas like that. But like I was thinking, hey, why not run Jazzy the same weekend and go to Vegas and do it? That'll make sure that all the players who attend
Yeah,
who go to
right.
Evo, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
anyway, like I've said from like the beginning of the season, I really do feel like if you consider yourself a top Third Strike player, I hope that you go to Evo. Um, I'm going to go on the record and say I'm going to try very hard to go to Evo. You know,
Same.
um,
Same.
and so I do think that our players should go to Evo,
Yeah.
and um, again, it's kind of a 1 year thing. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, like, I don't know if we necessarily have to feed into that narrative because sometimes the facts are what they are, right?
Yeah.
Um, and what I mean by that is, if we were to be 100 with it, like, you have to look at the competition, right? You have
Yeah.
to look at the players in the
hmm
tournament and to determine, I mean, winning any tournament can be difficult,
Yeah.
let alone a tournament at Evo with hundreds of entrants. But at the end of the day, you also have to look at the quality of competition. And
hmm
I think if Jazzy has accomplished anything, it's helping people, not just outside the FGC, but within the FGC, recognize what high level third strike looks like. And again,
Right.
no shade on people who competed, for example, at Combo Breaker, but
Mhm.
Bubbles. Shout outs to Bubbles. I
Oh
was
yeah.
so proud of his win at Combo Breaker. He went in
Yeah.
there, he handled his business,
New York.
but but
Dallas.
yeah,
Sorry.
Dallas now. But he wasn't able to make top 8 at the auto qual.
Hmm.
And again, a lot of that seating and everything, but like I think, if anything, I think Jazzy has helped people recognize, okay, what is high level third strike? And I
Hmm.
think, in many ways it's helped players, because again,
1000%.
going back to your story about, playing quote unquote casuals at Game Newton or any other Japanese game center, like it's not rocket science. The
Hmm.
more you play with people who are about the same thing you are, which is getting good at this one game, then you're going to
Yep.
get stronger. And I was most proud of Bubbles because, he lost to Bisu at ECT.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And for him to come back and tie it up with Bisu in their, rivalry set or whatever,
Yep.
I thought that was really, really cool. And, so shout outs to Bubble. But like at the same time, like we have to recognize, but so, you could look at it both ways. Like you could also look at it as, that's exactly why we have to go to Evo.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Which is my approach about it.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's like I don't know. The idea of it seems a little bit. I don't know. It's like it's weird. It's almost like as if the Super Bowl was played in like this secluded field underground somewhere, and then
Like, did you know there was the Cricket World Series in Long Island this weekend or something?
that's fire. Cricket's been showing up a lot on my
Yeah.
feed, and I didn't know why, and now I know why. So
Well,
thank
well,
you.
well. I only know why because recently there was some sort of threat, right? Like some sort of terrorist threat, like
Yeah,
someone made, and that's why it's in the news. That's the only
great.
reason why it was in the news. Like I didn't even know there was a Cricket World Series until
Let alone that it was in Long
yeah.
Island.
But anyway, yeah, like I get your point, right? Like
Yeah,
this,
so it's like
yeah.
that, and then it's like, okay, now whatever, whoever's left, now you got to go to Vegas next month, and you know, I don't want my game personally commentated by people who don't know shit about the game.
Damn.
Like I fucking hate that.
Oh, we going
And
there.
and that's just an ego thing. I'm sorry, it's just the ego thing. But
Hey,
there's
but
like
but but here's the thing, right? Maybe it's the ego, but maybe it just shows how much you love the game, right? How much
maybe
respect
that
you have for the game, how much respect you have for all those who studied the game like you did,
it's
put in all the
passion.
time, passion, I
That's
guess.
passion. It's not hate. It's passion,
It's,
bro.
oh, okay.
You know how
I like
fucking
that OS. I like that OS.
bro. You know how mad I get when I swear to God, the I remember one thing that I heard back in '07, and it was Flash Gordon, God rest his soul.
R.I.P.
One thing he said, ain't nobody beating Justin Moon with no Ken. I remember him saying that shit when I first started. I was like, fuck, he's right. I'm gonna have to like learn Yun or some shit.
Yeah,
And I think you linked the Boston Grand Finals,
yeah,
the Boston Red Bull Grand Finals.
yeah.
And I'm doing all this sick shit, and I gotta hear these motherfuckers say this random. I'm like, niggas, DD, it's DD, it's a technique, it's a technique. I'm not just throwing it out,
Yeah, yeah.
Like these are they're things, and they're little things like that just
Hmm.
continue to cause confusion about the game, and it's no wonder, and again, it is passion about the game, and it's passion, about all of these guys who train fucking hard all year, and just enjoy the game, but just giving them a platform to do it, and
Yeah.
wanting it to be done correctly, you know.
Hmm.
It's not much to ask, and I doubt it's gonna happen, but whatever. Like you said, for that reason, it's like I feel it's an obligation for any of us. You know, I want Evo top 16 to look like Jazzy top 16. That's how I want it to look. And realistically, it's not going to look like that. So that's it's frustrating. But at the same time, just encouraging everybody to the top players to come, and if you're in the area, if you can make it happen, if it's not too much of a burden to just do it. But it's just a big stigma about Third Strike and Evo, and you know, it's always been like that. So it's nothing. And I've never been to Evo. That's personally, I've never been to Evo. So in my head, it's like if I'm gonna go to Evo, it's got to be this year. I've never gone. The one year I was realistically thinking about going was '09, and that's when they pulled that 2v2 bullshit, and I was like, I'm not fucking going for no 2v2. And ever since then, it's been curtains, and they were probably happy to do it. So I don't have like the best outlook on Evo and Third Strike, but whatever. I hope it runs smooth.
Well, I'm a
I
little
hope,
more optimistic than you are, but maybe it's just because
yeah.
maybe as I get older, I have less passion for things.
No, you just have more hope. I think you're just at a healthier headspace
I'm gonna stop
about these
using the
things
word
than I
hate.
am.
I'm gonna replace it with passion. I'm
Passion,
not
yeah. I'm just
hating.
passionate.
I'm
I ain't
just
hating.
passionate. I'm
That's the
just
new
passionate.
OS. You're right. That is the new OS. I ain't hating. This is
Just
passion.
passionate. It's just
Nah,
passion.
man. I've never had like a high profile match commentated correctly. Like that whole top 8 at Combo Breaker, that was another one. I mean, was it? No, it was Canada Cup.
Oh
Bro.
well, I think there was a little bit more we should talk about with Canada
Oh
Cup.
my god, bro. That
Let's
shit
just
got
make
me
sure if you
mad.
go to Evo, let's make sure you get seated properly.
Whew. That's another
But
thing too. If I
despite your
go,
seating at Canada Cup, so for those of you who don't know, Frankie was I don't know, what was your seat? Something
bro, I was
ridiculous.
like 53rd or so. I don't know. It was something crazy. It was like, oh, okay. That's what you
Uh,
think.
and
I'm not thinking
despite that, you made top 3, right?
top 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, four.
Or top 4, yeah, top 4.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, yeah.
I've
So it's
always
just
respected the way you handled your business, though, right? Like
no complaining. I was
yeah.
like,
Well,
oh, okay.
what are you gonna do? You're gonna exert that energy towards that,
I'm gonna tweet at. No, I'm just gonna get on the
you know?
plane. So
Like to me, I always look at it in the bright side. Like if I get some nice players at the beginning, I'd rather play them at the beginning in some random non-stream matches. Who was I
right.
talking to about this recently? But I was like, man, when I go to EVO, I hope they don't seed me.
That's a
I hope I
fact.
play
Yeah.
all the Japanese in my pool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't want
No,
that
dude.
smoke. I'll play you offline. I'll play you off stream. You
Hey.
know?
Oh, it's a Frankie song. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Frankie song. It's 10 in the
Yeah.
morning and you got to
Yeah.
do a Frankie song. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like how was that Canada Cup experience? Because you've been to like big majors events too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like can you tell me kind of how, the Third Strike experience differs from like some of those big events to like, say like events that are specifically geared towards Third Strike? I mean, obviously there's obvious differences, but like what are what are some of the cool, I'm not so much like, comparing the two, but like what role do majors play in like growing our scene? Because you've been to a lot of them,
Yeah. Um, it's always all right. So the ones that I've gone to, I don't count the Boston Red Bull thing because that was like part of Third Strike. That like it was a Third Strike tournament. Even though 4 was there, I think at the time, and Turbo.
Maybe
I've
5
been to
already,
that.
right?
Yeah, it might have been 5. I don't know.
Mm,
Then it was Combo Breaker I went to
yeah.
and Canada Cup, and it's what it kind of touching on the point that you made about the arcade rooms. Like you can't expect that. You can't expect these tournaments to run on arcade hardware, on like a head to head. That's you. That's usually the thing that I, try to tell people or warn people about. Like if they're gonna go to a big event like that, you gotta play on Super Gun. You gotta, play on your own sticks. Or if you don't have a stick, you gotta fucking find one. Um, the Unfortunately, it's ran because it's at a big event like that. It's ran like every other event like that. So if they're not gonna split, when I went to Combo Breaker, that was just one huge bracket.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't split anything up into pools. There was like 110 of us that entered that day, and bro, I was sleeping for most of the tournament because you win your match, see you in an hour 45. Like that's really what it was. And so the in that aspect of it, they it's less likely that the needs of the game are going to be met in that way. Playing on Super Gun, we're playing in a ballroom, one huge ass bracket. Same thing happened, I think, I don't think Canada Cup had pools either. It was like very similar experience where we're just kind of standing around for a lot of it. And that's what majors really are. And if you're not used to that, it's gonna be weird for you. I played Street Fighter 4 on a very medium level. Um, played Street Fighter 5. In the beginning, I was pretty good. And so I was already used to that. I was used to going to events and doing the whole standing around thing and waiting for your pool and all this stuff. And it's a very different playing experience than something like Jazzy, where the whole venue is dedicated. If you go to Auto-Qualifier or to the finale, the entire venue is dedicated to it, on some level. And so you're either always going to be around Third Strike, or you're at least around like-minded people. In a way, it's a good or it could be a bad thing. Um, when you're at a major and you have to find a way to get casuals in because it's just not readily available, unless you're going to be playing on the super guns themselves or something like that in between matches. You have no shot. Like once the tournament starts, they got 3 super guns there and they're all dedicated towards tournament play. So you're kind of asked out. You have to find a way to lock in. Um, so in that sense, you got to stay warm or not get cold. I don't know how the fuck you do that in that environment. It's really hard. But you kind of get used to it. Whereas something like the finale, there's machines everywhere almost all the time. So if you want to play casuals while you wait for your pool to start up or whatever, you can. That's probably one of the things to warn people against at Evo is expecting casuals, or if you need a lot of casuals to get going, fucking show up early. But at the same token, you get to meet a lot of new people, who might not know that the Third Strike lore goes deep. The roots run deep. That there's an underground to explore. There's an underbelly of a bunch of psychopaths like us that are still playing this shit and fucking love it. And that there's a YouTube channel. And there's several YouTube channels of content coming out, and the cater towards people trying to learn the game now. And it's you just being able to be that point person is you should take a sense of pride in it. Like being able to be like, yeah, I'm part of this community. I go to the Jazzy finale every single year. I'm part of this community. Let me show you what all these guys are doing. Let me show you the event page. You don't even know. Look, you had a couple ranking events in your local scene. You don't even know it. Now you can do it next year. Just being able to talk to people to me was the like the really cool thing about going to like the majors that weren't dedicated to Third Strike. You get all these guys that play different games and shit, and they just decided to play Third Strike, and you can rope them in, man. You can trap them. You know what I mean? Like, oh, now you stuck. Now you stuck with us because now you realize how godlike this game is.
Yeah.
You know,
It helps that we're playing Third Strike
it helps. Of
a little
course,
bit.
Third Strike is
Yeah.
a phenomenal game.
Yeah. So
Easy,
we got some questions, or some comments in the chat. I thought maybe we could kind of cycle through them.
bird up.
So we got speaking of Marvel, we got RKF
Yeah.
ask a question: how should the Japanese players prepare for Evo, as we never use super guns? So like, to me, when I think about super gun setups, especially at like tournament majors or or FGC tournaments, like I think of like 3 main things, right? The display,
Mm-hmm.
your input device, and just in general your physical environment. Because like you were saying, the Japanese, especially the top level players, they're not like there's very little variation with those 3 things for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you sit on a
Seriously.
cab and that's just that.
Yep.
But this is going to be a little different, especially if you've
Different.
never like if you play at home, maybe you practice at home, maybe you'll be a little bit more comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But I do know, I have talked to some Japanese players who like they just play in the arcade. They just don't, go
Yep.
home, or they don't, or they don't play very often at home. So, you know, the first thing is really the display, right? That's the one thing you don't really have a whole lot of control over as a competitor.
Yeah.
You know, the TOs and the organizers, they're going to give you the displays that you're going to use.
Yep.
And, you know, I can only assume, since the same team who ran Combo Breaker is, you know, doing Evo, that they're probably going to use those super gun setups that you probably
Mm-hmm.
used at Combo Breaker, those Frankenstein setups with the
Yes.
wood,
Yes.
right? Where they have like
Yes.
actual monitors, arcade monitors,
Very
but they're
pretty.
just, you know, kind of, you know, they're just kind of bare, and then they have the
Yeah.
super gun attached to them.
Yeah.
Those aren't so bad, I think, you know, playing on, because again, they're basically arcade monitors. They're just without the chassis.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm not a big fan of personally is playing on PVMs. I mean, that shit looks like I'm playing Third Strike on a Game Boy. Like sometimes the screen is like way too
Yeah.
small, and I gotta
Yeah.
like. I mean, I'm old, you know. It's just hard for me to look at. You know, I need my Third Strike to be like right here, you know, in front of my face. And so sometimes playing, you know, on a PVM, especially if it's gonna be an on-stream thing,
Yeah.
you know, that might be an adjustment. Just so to me, the
Bring your
display,
readers.
yeah. So to me,
Like,
display size, right? Like screen
yeah.
size.
It's that. If I was living in Japan right now and I knew I was going to Evo, the two things that I would do to train, one, I would get used to playing on your lap.
Yeah.
So you go hop into training mode at home with the stick that you're gonna compete with and practice all the basics, like all your fundamentals, your B&Bs, your whatever the fuck your character does. You practice that on your lap. So that's one thing. Another thing is when I went, I would actually play. I would go to the arcade and I would put the cabinet on mute because there's a low possibility that you're gonna be able to hear what the fuck's going on in the
That's a good
game,
point. Yeah.
and you have to learn to play with just the button clickings and all that shit. Like you got like no, it's
You
that's
might even
one
have
of
to
the
play side by side.
yeah, that's another thing too.
That's another thing
If
too.
you have access to a versus city, I would use that or the other one, whichever one's next to each other.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like you have to try to like replicate that environment. Um, to be fair, I this advice is contingent upon the good Third Strike players going. Because if you're playing against a bunch of people that don't really know how to play the game, then how you train is irrelevant. You're just gonna
Well, we
be
know
beating
Show is
up on each
going.
other. Yeah, no, I mean like no, I mean like if you're a Japanese
How
player and you're
many
concerned,
keeper gins do you think he'll drop on a super
bro,
gun?
all of them.
How
He's not
many
gonna hit
Daipon
one. I
loops?
promise you. I
No,
promise you.
come on.
I
You don't think he's
promise you.
practicing? He's got to be practicing.
Bro, he's not gonna happen, bro. I don't care how much you practice,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but
Right?
going
And I
back to
love show.
like my second thing, right? The input device, you know,
Yeah, right.
but that's a good point that you have to put on your lap because that's gonna have to like now you have to
Hmm.
think about your actual stick, like what you're gonna
That's what I'm
use,
thinking about.
you
That
know?
when I'm not. Look, Show is
Yeah.
one of the most impressive people ever to play Yun. He's playing Yun on his lap. I think it's gonna be a little different unless he's practicing like that.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be weird, man. And then, like you said, you're gonna be playing on a monitor that's super small. You're used to playing like in a cockpit on a head to head where you like gotta look up and shit
Yeah.
and look down
Yeah.
at your meter and like you gotta
Now you're
scan.
playing
You
Third
gotta
Strike through
go
a
from that.
periscope. Do you...
Yeah, right, exactly, right. And then you have to think about, dude, like just people, we're fucking human, bro. Like it's much easier to immerse yourself in the game when the sound's blasting from the
Yeah.
fucking head to head, and all you can see is the game itself, and you're like this close, and now you're going from that to a packed ballroom where you can't even hear the game sounds. There's other games going on around you. There's people behind you. The dudes next to you. You might smell like garbage, and you're fucking playing on your lap, and the screen is small, and you can't hear the fucking game. It's really different. It's a skill.
Yeah.
Playing at a major like that is a skill that you
Yeah.
need to develop. And honestly, I would try my best to replicate that.
Yeah.
Playing on lap, that's one thing, and then
Yeah.
playing without sound, I feel
Yeah.
like that's another that you try to
Yeah.
train in that way.
And also, like, I don't know, but for me, I would get the heaviest stick I could find. Like
Yes,
I'm
bro.
trying
Yes.
to that shit cannot move.
I forgot.
You know?
Somebody had a stick and
Strap
they
it on
had
my
put
knees or something.
yo, I swear this was crazy. This was genius. They had a regular, I think it was like an obsidian stick,
Yeah.
and they had placed fucking weights in it. They had glued weights inside the stick. Like, they had opened the shit up. like to make it as heavy as possible because, dude, that's like my biggest hurdle when I'm playing on my lap is that because I throw my weight when I'm playing on a head to head. You just have the whole cabinet as like resistance, so you're able when you execute stuff, you're able to like throw your whole shit behind it, and now everything has to come from the wrists only. And if you go too crazy, I've had like the stick almost fall out of my lap a couple times, like in tournament, because I'm going hard, man. I'm going
Yeah.
hard in the paint, and the
Yeah.
shit, like I'm not keeping track of these things. So,
Yeah.
um, especially in a game that's execution heavy like Third Strike. In the newer games, I don't really have that issue because the execution is kind of baked into it, so you don't have to exaggerate anything. Everything is like red. But yeah, get used to playing on your lap.
Or
Pretty much it.
or we could try to find where KO Fiend is.
Oh my god, the
And
cigarette box.
have him make the
Mass.
stand, the remember the stand, the wooden stand that he
Yeah,
made,
the wooden stand he made out of his fucking cigarette.
so he could replicate the height of the cab. So he had a little spot where you could insert your stick in there, and then it would be the perfect height.
Yep, the perfect height.
Commission a bunch of those for the Japanese to use. That might help.
One thing I might do if I end up going is do like the chair to chair tech. You're sitting on the chair and you have the other chair in front of you, but then you got to learn how to play at that angle too.
Yeah,
it's an adjustment, but at least you're a little more stable.
Also, how about the chairs that they have at the event? You don't know what the height of the chairs are going to be too. True. So all this could be whatever. Like, the worst thing about playing, on your lap is sometimes, the stick kind of angles down,
Yeah. That's what
when you're playing. About. I mean, it's yeah.
Yo, Quotes used to have that shit on his kneecaps, bro. Half the stick was coming off his kneecaps playing. Looked crazy. He looked like he was rowing a boat when he was playing Makoto.
The Quotes confirm.
Yeah. Just do it. Shout out to Quotes, man.
Yeah, but I hope for the sake of the game and our scene that Third Strike at Evo, is a success. And so, like I said, I'm gonna try my best to be there. Hopefully, Frankie, you'll be there.
Yeah, I'll try my best. I promise.
But before Evo, let's talk about the finale a little bit more. Again, Jazzy finale tickets on sale right now. The price goes up tomorrow or Saturday, and so it's $50 right now. 3-day event. That includes entry to all of the tournaments, or you can get a spectator pass, which will allow you to enter the side events. We already talked a little bit briefly about the side events earlier in the show. We're going to have Marvel on Friday, and then ST on Saturday. Shout outs to Riz. I don't know if you were here earlier, Riz, but I, representing Dr. Lore Boys. And so shout outs to Riz for holding it down for not just 2X, but a lot of the other retro games. And so, yeah, definitely come to the finale. Start.gg/Jazzy3S. Get to a couple more questions here. Riz asks advice for a new player looking for a character. Oh wait. I'm sorry. I think there's another. No. Before we answer that question, let's get to Doc. My bad, Doc. So Doc has a question. He says, when you take breaks, how often you take breaks? Did you have a better mindset when you came back to the game and made adjustments to your gameplay?
Yeah, I love taking breaks. I love it. Great. It's probably the best part of the year, the most relaxing part of the year for me. It's weird because I tend to take breaks when a new game comes out. I'm like, okay, the last time I took a real break was when Street Fighter 6 came out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna finish Jazzy off, then I'm gonna play Street Fighter 6 and just see if I like the game or not. And so I try filling in the time with another fighting game, just because it gives you a fresh perspective when you come back. I feel like every time I come back from a break, I'm super clear about what it is that I'm trying to do. Every single time it feels that way. And I feel like I get better every time I take a break. It's like, when you're working out and, the actual muscle growth happens during recovery. It happens when you're not doing anything, and you like allow your body to come back and it's refreshed. I feel like it's the same thing with Third Strike or with any competitive thing. Obviously, like you have to get to a certain level for the breaks to be beneficial. Um, you should probably should play as much as you can right now until you get to that point where maybe you're feeling a little burnt out, or you know, maybe it's not as enjoyable for you to play.
Mm-hmm.
Then peel back, because that happens to me too. Like, there are months where I'm like, I fucking hate this game. I don't know what anybody sees in it. I'm just like, whatever. I'm just gonna play Pokemon or something. Um, but when that happens, when you're feeling that burnout, I would peel back, try to play a different game. And usually when I come back to Third Strike after playing a different game, I feel like I'm taking a lot of soft skills that I'm developing in other games, and I'm bringing them back to Third Strike. And I've always felt like that. And I played Street Fighter 4. I attempted to play Street Fighter 4 at a high level, 5, 6, Marvel 3, Marvel 2, Dragon Ball Fighters. I played all these games at a decent level where I can keep up, with like the really, really good players. And I always feel like when I come back to Third Strike after, having grinded those games out, I come back a more complete Third Strike player, just working out different parts of your brain. I feel like is always beneficial, especially from somebody like me where I don't know what I have, but my attention is kind of scattered sometimes. So
let's get to Riz's question now. Advice for a new player looking for a character.
it's funny because I wanted to, um, with Jazzy and everything, and I wanted to make a video about just this topic. Um, about what I wanted to do was break characters down into archetypes, and you know then try to make a tier list based off of the archetype of character that they are. Because I feel like it doesn't matter if you're playing Chun and her archetype doesn't fit your playstyle, then it's not going to work out. So that's bad advice. Be like, oh, if you want to play Third Strike, play the top characters. That's pretty much what everybody tells you to do, is to pick one of the top characters. But I think you have to recognize what kind of player you are, what you like to do to win, and then ask somebody who knows, hey, where should I go? If you like playing, if you every time you play a fighting game, you love the combo heavy setup characters, yeah, maybe you should start with Yun or Urian, because though their game plans are very simple. They're difficult to execute, but you get a clear picture about what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to build meter, supposed to activate, you're supposed to, you know, land your combo, and if it doesn't work, you back away and do it, and you do it over and over again. And so, characters like that have their game plans directly laid out, and so it's a little bit easier. Um, but I think you have to be real with yourself about how you like playing fighting games, what you enjoy, and then I would work backwards from that, and then try to find the character that fits into that. And if you have any questions, the most independent thing you can do is to just look up high level gameplay of whichever character you're curious about. And if the way that they're winning jives with you, if you feel like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun, or that looks sick, I want to do that, then you continue on and you experiment, and it doesn't cost anything. 5K's free. See if you're fucking with it, and if it doesn't, back to the drawing board. Let me pick another character and just keep doing that until you find that you're having fun losing, because that's what you're gonna need in order to succeed in this game. You're gonna have to lose a lot in the beginning. So if you can lose a lot in a way that you find enjoyable with a character that fits your playstyle, then that's the route that you need to take.
Yeah. I think my advice is just play every character, like
Yeah.
for a little while, like, and even a character that like you feel like, just pick him up.
Pick them up.
Yeah. I remember one summer, me and Lloyd picked up Oro
Oh God.
because I was convinced Oro is a bad character, and I still think he's a bad character.
Well,
I still think so. It's just you can't like one super can't make the character can't like if you play very very smart against Oro, yeah,
mhm.
you can demonstrate your advantage against that character.
Oh, that was
I think
political. I
so.
like
I
that. You
think so.
politic now.
I think so. You know, because like it's one of those characters where like you have to like watch out for just like a couple things, you know, like
Mhm.
I don't know, like. But anyway, like I think just pick a character, just play all the characters, you know,
Yeah.
play one character 1 week, play the other character, you know that's also something that I think helps,
Like
um
what made me want to play Ken?
yeah,
There was
I was just
one
gonna ask that, right? How'd you land on
it,
Ken?
I landed because I was after I went home, that time I started playing, I had the game at home, I just YouTubed it. I was already on YouTube back then, just like being a creep and just like watching everything. And so I put it on YouTube, and it was um I watched the grand finals between KO and um Daigo. And Daigo lost that. But there was a moment in that set where he did, I think it was Daigo did standing roundhouse and it whiffed against Yun. Yun was in the corner. Daigo did standing roundhouse, and this was like to win one of the matches. It wasn't like the whole set. He did standing roundhouse. The Yun tried to do low forward. Forgot which Evo it was, and then Daigo just hit him with like fear Shoryu. After that, he just ate up the Shoryu. I mean, he ate up the low forward to Shoryu. It was just
I
that
think that
little.
was against Mester actually in
It might have been
2004.
Mester at like
Yeah,
oh 04, right. It was
yeah,
one. I knew it was early one. The
yeah,
footage was grainy and you heard the button clicks.
yeah,
And for some reason that shit got me going. I was like, that was fucking sick. I want to play this character now. Like it was weird. It was just that, and then hearing back in those days, like when they did like the Evo videos, they were still like you can still hear the button clicks. And there was just something about like the rhythm of like hitting like the short super, short crouch jab, short super, and all that shit, and like hearing them tap the buttons, with the rhythm of this. It was just something about it that I just wanted to do,
yeah,
and so I just picked them up, and then obviously the Evo thing happened, and then or like I ran into the Evo video after that, the Evo moment, and then that kind of just solidified it. But
yeah.
it was just Ume Shoryu made me want to play this.
The Ume
Made me,
Shoryu.
made me, Ume Shoryu made me want to play Ken.
Yeah, I remember that moment. That still might be one of the top 5 sickest things I've ever seen live in Third Strike.
Bro, fucking I remember you made a joke about it, like he's Daigo, like he's Daigo now, but back
Yeah,
when he did that, he was still the beast.
yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
the beast. That
That
was
was
some
the
sick
beast.
shit.
That was...
Fucking sick.
So we got one more question here. Uh, also from Precklin. Also, what did you focus on when you first started grinding to improve?
Trying to improve.
Like when you first started, like I guess when you first made this commitment, like okay, I want to get nice, so I could like play at CF or whatever. Or like, what were some of the
Yeah,
things you focused on?
combos,
Yeah, combos.
combos.
Yeah,
That's the fun stuff.
yeah, yeah.
That's where everything happens. That's where combos. You try to do combos, and if you realize it,
Tell me
fighting
how to
games
feel
are
the first time you hit strong fierce fireball Shipu. Tell me
all
about your
right. So
first
like,
time.
dude. All right. So when you make a commitment to play this game, right? You pick up the character, and you're like, okay, and you go every Friday to Chinatown Fair, and you have your character, right? And you're like, all right, I've been practicing this shit. This is gonna go great. And then a month goes by, and 2 months goes by, and 3 months goes by, and you know what? You haven't landed one super.
Yeah,
Like you haven't hit one person
yeah.
with any was you're ending every round with max meter. Like unless you do a desperation EX something something. But like you don't hit anything. And so I know what I'm supposed to hit. I'm supposed to hit crouch short super or
Mhm.
low medium kick in the super or strong fierce. And that's the thing that you focus on, right? You want to hit these things. How do you hit them? That's when you start making improvements. Like that's when strategy enters the building. I think the first time anybody hits a super in this game is off of a guest parry. It just is what it is. That was another thing too. I was obsessed with parrying when I
Mhm.
first started playing. I feel like that's something you need to be. You need to love the parry system. You need to like want to do it and like
It's like
want to
growing
parry
pains,
everything.
right? It's like
Yeah,
growing
it is,
pains. Yeah.
right? You have to go through that. You have to go through that instance of like, oh my God, I want to parry this. I want to parry everything that the opponent throws. And through parrying that, you learn when not to and how to, and it's not always the right thing to try to wake up like parry. Because
Yeah.
it was funny because like one of the first things I ever adjusted to was um what was it? It was my opponent knocked me down,
Yeah.
right? And they were throwing me. It's like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna wake up Shoryu. Oh shit, the Shoryu hit. Like, oh, maybe I should do wake up Shoryu every time.
Hmm.
Right? And that's not how this shit works, right? That's not how we play bingo. And it's the same thing with like wake up parrying and parrying and just in general. It's like you have to go through that pain of wanting to abuse it because it's the best thing in the world, and then understanding that it has weaknesses, and then you have to just go through the motions that way. But if I were to, what you should focus on is combos, because combos is going to lead you towards this how do I land this? And then that's when strategy kicks in. But you need to be able to like execute it, right? You need to like be able to have it in your hands. And that's the biggest hurdle, I think. I think once you get the combos in your hands and you're able to execute them more or less at will, then that's when strategy starts to develop.
Sounds good. So, Versaga, Frankie never got back to me. How do you reversal SA3 and mirrors so damn well?
Oh shit. Yeah, I meant to get back. I'm so sorry, Versaga. Um I was I was thinking about it for a while, and then
Like, I'm the worst at like explaining anything in Third Strike. Like to me, it's pretty easy. Like, I
you
just do
just
the
do it.
motion real quick, as quickly as I can. I don't know. I'm so bad at doing it. It's like it's almost like it's gotten so like muscle memory to me, right?
Yeah.
Like anytime I block a low forward, like you see my hand, I'm always like,
Yeah.
like my hand is always instinctually, you know.
That's so the that's probably the underrated part about it, right? Like you have to drill it. You
Yeah,
have to do it 100 times,
yeah.
bro. Like 100 on each
You
side.
have to look for it all the time,
You have
right?
right,
You have
yeah,
to look
right.
for it all the time. Yeah,
So that's the thing. I think that's the progression of it, right?
yeah.
You do as many sets as you can stand, like just doing them, like just repetitions, getting the reps in on each side. And you have to focus on one button at a time, right? So it's like when I was focusing on trying to do it against Ken, low forward,
Uh-huh.
do it, I just set the dummy to do it, neutral jump, low forward, I block it, reversal it, you see it hit, hooray. You do that. You drill that shit into you. Then the progression from that is like, okay, I've drilled the actual execution of the technique into my hands. Now I need to see it like in a match,
Hmm.
right? And then you hyper focus on it. You seek out Ken players that you can, play.
Because there are
And
definitely situations, right, Frankie, where that opportunity presents itself more than other
yeah, right.
scenarios.
Exactly. So then you go from, all right, and now I'm trying to force this interaction in a match
Hmm.
so that I can execute it in a match. And so what that means is you're going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're focusing on this one thing, but that's not the point. Who gives a shit that you're losing? You're trying to like polish this technique,
Hmm.
right? So you go and you find Ken players to practice against. You're hyper focusing on executing this thing. And then after you feel like you got it, like your hands are instinctually, responding to that move being blocked, that's when you kind of take it to to trying to integrate it back into your own game. And so then now I'm going to try to play like I normally play. And then if the situation presents itself, it just starts to happen a little bit more organically. But, as you improve at it, you'll understand like I'm really close to my opponent. I'm worried about short, not necessarily like crouch medium kick,
Hmm.
or I'm far away, so I need to be looking at crouch medium kick or stand roundhouse, and then you'll kind of be a little bit more prepared. It's like your brain is like preparing for that moment once you get into the range.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but the most important thing is that you need to drill it into your hands
Yeah.
first. Like it can't be something that you're thinking about. Like your
Yeah.
hands just need to kind of go when you see the move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that just happens through like repetitions and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest part is after that, after like the drilling part of it, I think an important component is finding a Ken player and realizing that you're going to lose a lot. You know what I mean? Because that's how I approach it anyway. It's like I'm gonna hyper focus on this thing like crazy. I'm gonna like just look for this one thing, and I don't care if I get thrown 200 times. That's not the point of this, So I don't care if I lose. And then you bring it all together after that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely just, and to me that's again going back to Fightcade, one of the advantages of Fightcade, right? You always have that real time, opportunity to practice it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got to go for it. You got to always go for it. Like that's how I kind of like learn how to red parry. Like you'll never learn to red parry unless you don't go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm on Fightcade, I'm trying for every motherfucking red parry.
Okay.
I'm trying for every one of them. You know what I
Yep.
mean? But yeah, low forward reversal. All right, so we're kind of getting to the close of the podcast, but just wanted to thank you for your time again, Frankie. Looking forward to seeing you in action at Jazzy
Likewise.
Finale weekend. But before we get out of here, just wanted to, I know that you're a big basketball fan. I'm a big basketball fan too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna steal a little something from some of these basketball podcasts. Hit you with some of these quick hitters, if you will.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So ready? So I only got a few of them. So
That's cool.
all right. And so first question: if you could lock yourself in a room and with a cab and one other player, right? And and you would just play for the entire day. Who would that player be? It could be anyone, past, present, future, in their prime, whoever.
Deshkin.
Deshkin. Okay. All right. So, second question: what's the tournament win you're most proud of?
The first time I beat Justin at NEC.
And what NEC was that?
Shit. I don't remember. I don't remember the actual number. I think the year was 2009
Okay.
or 2010.
All right. So, next question:
Can't remember.
co-op cup team, American co-op cup team. If you had to send 5 American players to compete at co-op, who would be that team? Who would you put on that team?
Me, Nika, Ryan, 5-star, and the last one's always tricky, isn't it? Hold that.
Nice. Okay. I like that. So we got 2 Kens, a Yang, Alex, and a Chun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like it. I like the 2 Kens. Yeah. Speaking of Ken, you already talked about Deshiken, but who are your top 3 best Kens of all time?
Of all time.
And is Deshiken in that top 3?
Deshkin's in the top 3.
Okay.
Deshkin's in the top 3.
How about the other 2?
It's Deshkin. This is my personal top 3. It's
Okay.
Eno.
Eno. Okay.
Eno's Ken is probably my favorite Ken to watch.
Okay.
And the third one is Matsuken.
Matsuken. Yeah.
Matsuken.
I think I told this story before. I went to Game Versus, and I guess I read the schedule wrong or something. I thought it was Third Strike Night, and the only person that was there was Matsuken and another Ken player. And I just proceeded to play Matsuken for like 3 hours. Game Versus.
Yeah, Kuroda Ken's a close third, but I got to give it to the Ken main.
All right. And so last question, last heavy hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who do you want to face first? Who would you pick to face first round out of everyone who qualified for the finale?
Who's qualified?
Okay, so So yeah, so remember this year we got 12 players, right? That qualified.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we'll start with the Jazzy finalists to qualify through the auto quals. So we
Okay.
got Amir, who won Barcode.
Yeah.
Neiman, who won TGZ.
Okay,
Cactus
Neiman.
League.
Neiman. That's my answer.
I didn't even finish the list.
I don't care.
Oh, okay. I like this. Okay. You don't want to hear anyone else? Big Nasty, he qualified too?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, it's
No,
all
Big
love.
Red? Big Red? No. Okay. I like it. All right. Okay. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you at the finale again, Frankie. Thanks again for the time. You know, it's always real. And so yeah, before we get out of here, tell them how they can follow you, tell them how they can, support you and, all that stuff.
I'm most active third strike wise on Twitter.
Yeah.
Feetwork 101. YouTube by the same name, Feetwork 101. You can support me by playing the game.
All right.
Playing the game and coming to Jazzy.
I appreciate that. All right. So that's it for Jazzy Talk. On the next Jazzy Talk, hopefully we can get Big Nasty on the show and I can ask him that same question. But yeah, appreciate the time again, Frankie. Again, for those of you listening, Jazzy Finale Weekend happening June 21st to 23rd. Start.gg/Jazzy3S. And so thank you all for supporting. It's been a great season so far. The regular season's over. And so, like I said in the last episode, shout out to all the TOs, both offline and online. And oh yeah, last thing, this is for sure the last thing we'll talk about.
Yeah, good.
Have you heard about Katie's unofficial Jazzy basketball game?
Oh,
Frankie?
yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, look. Okay, I've gone on the record many times in the past. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea.
We're all gonna get hurt.
There's gonna be Achilles, torn. There's gonna be ACLs, strained.
No, we're gonna do a proper warm up. All of us.
Man,
we're gonna do
I don't know, Frankie.
warm up. Pilates.
I don't know about this.
No, we got this. I'm gonna lead the warm up.
All right.
We're gonna do the warm up that I make the kids do. We're gonna be okay. Promise.
So what's your stat line after this Jazzy basketball game if you play?
Oh, I don't know.
Say we're playing regulation, right? Just 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah, 12 minutes a period, 48 minutes. What's your stat line? What are you getting?
But you said 12 minutes?
Well,
48 minutes?
Yeah,
we're playing a full game?
Yeah, full game.
Oh, full game. I'm like a 24 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Do you average a triple double?
I'm everywhere. I said 8 assists. I'm being humble, okay? I'm being humble.
Basically a triple double. You don't average that stat line unless you got some triple doubles, yeah.
Listen, that's me being humble. I can't make my teammates make their shots. Right?
Damn.
So that's just what it is.
Frankie Westbrook right here.
Gunner.
All right, well, looking forward to seeing you play third strike and maybe basketball. And so yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks for watching Jazzy Talk, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, see you guys.